So in this video, we're going to talk about linear equations. So we're going to mainly discuss the form y equals mx plus b, where m equals the slope and b is equal to the y-intercept. And we're just going to look at how to graph slope-intercept form and also how to find m and b. So we're going to go on and look at a few examples, and also this we're going to discuss the range and domain right now, since the domain is all possible x values, and it goes from negative infinity to infinity because every x value could be plugged in to any linear equation and always give an output. The range is also negative infinity to infinity because the range is all possible y values, and we see that it continues in a line infinitely and it never stops. So we're going to go ahead and determine what m and b are. So we start off with an equation like this. So we have y is equal to x minus 2, and we see that we don't have anything in front of the x, but we know that m is equal to 1 because anytime that there's a 1, we don't need to write it out, but there's always a 1 if it's just x by itself. And we see that b is equal to negative 2, since when the equation is set to 0 for x, so you have y is equal to 0 minus 2, you're going to get your your y value, which is your output, which will tell you your y value, which is negative 2. So that is an example. And we're going to go ahead and look at another one. So we're going to find b in this example. So we are given the slope is 3x plus b. But in order to find b, you have you need to have a point. And the point we're going to get is going to be 2 comma 8. So for our y value, we have to look at 8 because our coordinates are always going to be written in terms of x comma y. So we're going to replace y with 8 and x with 2. So we're going to have 8 is equal to 3 times 2 plus b, where we have 8 is equal to 6 plus b, where we just go ahead and subtract 6 from both sides. So we get 2 is equal to b. So our equation is going to be y is equal to 3x plus 2. And it's true because if we go ahead and plug in 2 for x, we get 6 plus 2, which is equal to 8. So that does indeed tell us that this is our correct equation, because if we plug in 2 for x, we're going to get 8 for y. And that is going to be that for that example. And we're also going to go ahead and graph this equation y is equal to 2x minus 1. So we're going to go ahead and make a table, and we're going to list possible values, and we're also going to graph it as well. So that is going to be, so our first row on our table is going to be x, and the one on the right is going to be y. And we're going to test, or we're going to put x is equal to -1, 0, 1, and 2. So when x is equal to -1, just replace x with -1, where we get -2 minus 1, because 2 times -1 is the same thing as -2. And if we add this, we're going to get -3. So our y value is -3. And when x is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, minus 1 is -1. And for 2 times 1, that's just 2 minus 1, +1. And when x is 2, we multiply 2 times 2, that is 4, minus 1 will give us 3. So now we're going to have -1, 1, and 2. So we're going to have -1, -2, and -3. And when we see that when x is equal to -1, y is -3. And when x is 0, it's going to be crossing the y-axis at -1. And when x is equal to 1, it is +1, which is here. And for 3, or when x is equal to 2, it's going to be up here. So now we want to go ahead and connect our points. And we're going to get a graph or a line that looks like this. And it's not drawn to scale, but we basically could see how it is going to look like, since we graphed it using a table and we plugged in our coordinates the into the plane here, into the Cartesian graph. And we see that it has an x-intercept at somewhere between 0 and 1. And we could solve for x when we set y equal to 0. And when we set y equal to 0, we have 2x minus 1, where x is equal to 1/2, which is going to be right here. So we're also going to look at another example where we're going to find the slope. So we're going to have y is equal to mx plus 4. And if it's the same thing as we did with b, we just need a point like 1 comma 2, where we get 2 is equal to m, because x is 1, and 4. Subtract 2m is equal to -2. So that's kind of like the same thing as just finding a variable by itself. But now we're going to go ahead and find the slope using the formula to find slope, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we need 2 points in order to use this formula. And we're also going to plug m into the point slope formula, which is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So we're going to go ahead and look at a line that passes through the point 2 comma 3 and 3 comma 6. So we're going to go ahead and look at x1 and y1, and this is x2 and y2. We can go ahead and plug it into the formula now, where we get m is equal to 6 minus 3 divided by 3 minus 2, where we get 3 over 1. And we can go ahead and get the equation where we have y minus y1, which is 3, is equal to m, and x1. So we're going to have 3 times x minus x1, which is 2, where we can just go ahead and get our equation by multiplying 3 into what's inside the parentheses. So we get 3x minus 6, and we have y is equal to 3x minus 3. So that is how we could find an equation using the point slope form. So let's go ahead and look at another example. And the example we're going to look at has to cross through 3 comma 2 and 4 comma 3. Actually 4 comma 5. So we're going to use the formula again to get m, where m is equal to y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is 2, divided by x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 3. So we get 3 over 1. And as we see, it has a slope of 1, or of 3. So we're going to go ahead and find the equation now. Y minus 2 is equal to 3 times x minus 3. So we have y is equal to 3x minus 9 plus 2, where we're going to get minus 7. And that is our equation using the point slope form. And we're going to look at one more, which has to pass through the point 1 comma 3 and 7 comma 4. So using the formula for m, we get 4 minus 3 divided by 7 minus 1, which is 1 over 6. So it tells us that we are going to have a slope of 1/6. And let's just plug it into the point slope formula equation. Y minus 3 is equal to m, which is 1/2, or not 1/2, 1/6, times x minus 1. So we have y is equal to 1 over 6x minus 1 over 6 plus 3, where 3 is the same thing as 18 over 6, and 18 minus 1 is positive 17. So I have plus 17 over 6. So that is another example where we could also multiply by 6, but we're just going to leave it like this because that's its natural form from what we got. So now that's that for point slope. And we're also going to look at standard form now, where standard form is written as a. I'll just write a to the power, or ax plus by is equal to c. And that's how most equations are written, since you'll be asked to isolate x or y. But if we were to ask to convert this into slope-intercept form, all we would have to do is subtract ax to get by is equal to ax, or negative ax plus c, and divided by b, where we get y is equal to negative ax plus c over b, and that would be our slope-intercept form, which could be mx plus b. But that's how we convert standard form into slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and see how we could convert this equation. So we're going to go ahead and add 2x to both sides, and we get y is equal to 2x plus 12. And this is already converted to slope-intercept form since we just had to do one step, which is add positive 2. And the next example is going to be 3x plus 4y is equal to 2. So we're going to go ahead and move 3x to the right hand side where we have 2 minus 3x, and we divide by 4 to get y is equal to 2 minus 3x divided by 4, where we could simplify this to get y is equal to 1 half minus 3 over 4x. So that is how we get some of the standard form equations written down exactly as y equals mx plus b. But we are going to look at one more. So we're going to look at 1 half x plus 1/3 y is equal to 3 over 2. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 1 half from both sides, or 1 half x, and then we'll get 1 over 3 y is equal to 3 over 2 minus 1 half x. And now to get y by itself, we multiply by 3 to get y is equal to 9 over 2 minus 3 over 2x, where we could see that m is equal to negative 3 over 2 and b is equal to 9 over 2. So that's what I meant by it being exactly y equals mx plus b. So that's that for standard form. And we're going to go ahead and solve some linear equations now, which are in like this: ax plus b is equal to 0, where x is simply minus a minus b over a. So that's just the formula for it, which we get from subtracting b, giving us ax equals negative b. And to get x by itself, we just divide by a, so we get x equals to minus b over a. And we're going to look at 3 linear equations, and then we're going to solve them using minus b over a. So this is just a quick, simple one where we could just directly plug in a and b. So we get x is equal to negative 2 over 3. And that is that for that example. And we're going to look at one more, that is minus 2 is equal to 1. Okay, so this one we have a 1 in the front, but we could just go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. So we get x, or 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. And then we could just use our formula where we get x is equal to negative 3, which is positive 3, over 4. So That's the second example. And our last example is going to be a fraction. So we're going to have 1 over 2x plus 6 over 7 is equal to 7 over 6. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 7 over 6 to give us 6 over 7 plus 7 over 6, not plus 7 over 6, minus 7 over 6 is equal to 0. And now we want to make all this expression on the little box here all 1. We want to make it all as a whole. So 6 over 7 minus 7 over 6 is equal to, so let's go ahead and get same denominators. And with that, we're going to multiply 6 over 7 by 6 over 6, giving us 36 divided by 42, and 7 over 6 by 7, so we get 7 over 6 times 7 over 7, giving us 49 over 42. So now we go ahead and have 36 over 42 minus 49 over 42. And 36 minus 49 is the same thing as 13, or negative 13 over 42. And we could see that we're going to have 1 half x minus 13 over 42. And we can go ahead and find x, but we could simply find x by just multiplying by 2, giving us x minus 13 over 21, where x is simply positive 13 over 21. So let's go ahead and verify our solution. So we're going to plug in 13 over 21 into 1 half. So we have 1 half times 13 over 21 is equal to 13 over 42. So we have 13 over 42 plus 6 over 7. And now we're going to go ahead and multiply again 6 over 7 by 6 over 6, giving us 36 over 42, giving us 49 over 42. And we can basically now go ahead and try to simplify this. So we're going to look for common factors of 49 over 42. And we can see that 49 could be split into 7 times 7, and 42 could be split into 6 times 7. And since we have 2 sevens on the top and 1 on the bottom, and they're being multiplied, we could just cancel out one of the sevens from the bottom and from the top, leaving us with 7 over 6, which is indeed our answer to our equation that we had. So that is that example, which was quite difficult. So yeah, but we'll go ahead and do one more, but with decimals this time, since you may run into some decimals at times. So let's go ahead and subtract 1, giving us 0.333x minus 1.125 and is equal to 0. And to get x, we're going to multiply by 3, giving us 0.999x minus 3.375 is equal to 0. And since we see 0.999 is going to be 1, because as we see 0.33 is the same thing as 1/3, which is equal to 0.33 repeatedly, and 2 over 3 is equal to 0.667, or simply 6 repeatedly, and 3 over 3 is 1. So with that, we can basically say that x is equal to 1. X is equal to, well, not 1, but we have 0.999x. Repeatedly, x is equal to x. So we have x minus 3.375, where we just change the sign for this or set it just equal to x, and we have x is equal to 3.375. And if you're wondering what 3.375 is as a fraction, it is going to be 27 over 8, since 1 over 8 is equal to 0.125. And we're just going to look at another decimal one, and that'll be that for this video. So we're going to have 4.127 x minus 18.12 is equal to 3.167. So we're going to go ahead and either subtract 3.167 or just go ahead and find x quickly. But we'll just go ahead and subtract 3.167, so we get 4.127x minus 21.287 is equal to 0. We can go ahead and use a formula where we get x is equal to negative 21.287, so we get positive 21.287 divided by 4.127, where if we go ahead and divide that, we're going to get 5.15798.401 dot dot dot. And if we go ahead and plug it into our calculator and plug in 5.157 into our equation, we're going to get 200 or 21.287 minus 21.87, or 287 is equal to 0. So that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.